So we have another cozy-based MMORPG releasing in 2024 as an alpha test, and it's a community-based sort of similar to that of Albion Online, a procedurally generated world with its own player-driven economy. Well, Bitcraft wants to set itself apart from other MMOs by changing the ways of how players-driven games work on a fantasy-based level, with a deep skill system with a focus on crafting, economics, city building, and much more. Before we even get to that, let's exactly see what is Bitcraft. So Bitcraft is different from other MMORPGs in a key few ways. First, the world is fully procedurally generated, meaning that no two worlds would be the same. You know, a lot of my dungeon crawlers out there, Metrovanias, all my players out there definitely know what procedurally generated feels like. That basically means that players will have a unique experience each time they play the game. Now, how will this work in MMO standard? I will actually like to see that. I feel like they have their wheels turned and their cog wheels going to seeing how well that'll work. Secondly, Bitcraft is also heavily focused on player-driven content. Players will be able to build their own towns, villages, and as well as cities. They also set up their own economies and trade with other players. Now, there have been quite a few other player-driven economies out there, MMOs, but this seems to be more on the lighter side of things. Thirdly enough, Bitcraft also has the deep skill system that I will be explaining a little bit later in the video that allows players to specialize in different areas. Players can become farmers, blacksmiths, merchants, builders, or pretty much anything else they will want to be. Let's talk about some of the major features of what players should be expecting to see from Bitcraft. So there's harvesting and crafting, there's chopping down trees, you can trade with other players and sell their wares. There is also a cozy OST that you could, match the tune of exactly what's going on. And you could kind of hear a little bit through their announcement trailers. And I'm like, if that sounds pretty peaceful, I'm going to expect that same kind of content in the actual official launch of the game. You can also change a bunch of hairstyles, kind of make your character a little bit on their own. The character creation seems a little bit on the side of things. We all look like, I don't know, blob people. I don't know really what to call it. You'll probably see it in the gameplay above. And of course, there are player-driven politics as well, meaning, you can rise to the ranks and, see who's the leader of this land and attack this land or something of that sorts. I'm actually pretty hyped to see how exactly that works. And as well as you can do your as per usual, you can hunt and gather food as well. And let's talk about that skill system. So Bitcraft team released a blog speaking on exactly how the systems work. The main progression in the game is centered around the aspects of civilization building as opposed to combat power progression. This means that although there are no classes in Bitcraft, the core skills are more similar to classes than to the professions or life skills in other MMOs like Final Fantasy XIV. Despite being thematically similar, they don't want players to feel left out because they chose a not so popular skill by taking the skills, making all the core skills useful. By working on a skill will help give incentives to players with parties to specialize in a given skill so that when working in groups and players can achieve more together rather than trying to pursue each core skill themselves. Speaking of those core skills, here are the skill players can choose in game. So you have forestry, cutting trees, seeding, planting saplings, collecting sap, making charcoal. You have foraging, finding mushrooms, wild fibers, wild flowers, and wild seeds. You have mining, mine for rocks, gems, or precious metals, and prospecting. You have fishing, which basically is making bait, catching fish, and as well as processing said fish. You have hunting, catching and harvesting animals, carpentry, sawing and carving raw wood into planks, beams, and into other wood products. Masonry, crushing and carving stone, shaping and processing clay into ceramics, mixing mortar, cutting gems. You have smithing, which is preparing and processing ore, smelting and smithing ingots, turning metal into products. Tailoring, processing fiber and filaments into fabrics and strings, creating products from cloth. You have leatherworking, making tannin, drying and tanning beds, hides into leather, processing leather into the products. cooking, make food and drinks, extracting oils for wood products, and farming, which preparing and planting seeds, tending to crops, and harvesting and processing farmed crops. And there is one more that was not announced by the team, but we'll probably learn that in the next couple of weeks or upcoming months. But Bitcraft sounds like an exciting brand new MMORPG that promises to offer a unique and immersive experience for players. With its procedurally generated world, deep skill system, focus on social interaction, Bitcraft has some potential, honestly, some potential around to stay around with just other games just like it. If you are interested in Bitcraft, then I definitely recommend signing up for the beta on their official website. And let me know what's your thoughts on Bitcraft. Or is there going to be another failure MMO, or is their ideal or vision going to actually help them succeed to actually stay around with the big dogs, or at least close enough? Albion Online has been doing a good job. They kind of have a similar system, but just more on the combat heavy side. So until we can see a little bit more information from Bitcraft right now, it's entering alpha next year. I've been following Bitcraft a little bit since they first announced it almost a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago. So just finally seeing it reach alpha state now, I can't wait to see what this game has to offer. But other than that, it's been your host, KSDTV, here at Chaotic Inc., signing out. Peace.
Manifest, I don't sleep, that's so weak, don't plan to rest. I'm from a hood where you die if you don't pack a vest. No culinary degrees, but whipping crack the best. Chefing, hard times taught lessons. Praying every night to pull up in park Benzes. What's my home is what you call trenches. You wouldn't last a day seeing life through all lenses. It's all tension, no sun, and rain and plenty. Full-time job, still can never make a penny. I ain't rapping